Hey everyone, welcome back in for another video. Today we're talking about the Saga of the Squats from Space Dwarves to the Leagues of Votann. So I wanted to make this video to throw in my 2 cents about the Squats and kind of just give an overview of where they came from, where they're going to now. Because again, a lot of people don't know about this army or have never heard of them before. So they weren't, again, always known as the Leagues of Votann. I think maybe Votann was the region they came from, where that's actually a nod back to something from the past, but I'll have to look into that myself. So again, in the early days with the Squats, they were known as the Space Dwarves. So they were an add-on kind of thing for the Imperium, where there was a few different units. I believe this was the Scout unit, so they're kind of dressed up in Imperial Guard-esque armor. They have lasguns. There was another unit that was kind of like an armored, almost Space Marine unit, and then there was some Terminators. Again, they weren't known as Terminators; they're just heavily armored Squats. They had a couple tanks. They had some really interesting artillery. They had a gun that was a mortar that shot into the ground and would mine under the ground to hit the enemy on the other side. So really interesting, fun stuff. So they're showing a bunch of these different old models, some of the old lore for them as well. So the Squats are interesting because in terms of the storyline during the Horus Heresy, the Squat homeworld, essentially it was a civil war where half of them turned to chaos, half of them were loyal to the Emperor and destroyed themselves. They've been alluded to that, again, not all the Squats died, right? Not all of them were on the home planet. So they've come up in Necromunda. There's been some models, and there's been stories, where a rogue trader, there's a Squat with a rogue trader. But now it looks like they'll be coming back in force. So it appears that they've kind of written it where they've been in these mining colonies, and now they're kind of coming back out where they've, repopulated over time. They also had some cool units like these Trikes, which I think with the new Necromunda models that we've seen is a perfect addition. They're definitely going to bring out these models as well. I know Games Workshop loves ATVs and bikes now, so we'll definitely get some of those. And another thing a lot of people don't know is that this scale of models, so these are tiny models. So this is actually War Master. So War Master was Warhammer 40,000 on a tiny scale where you could have massive battles like the ones that you would see in the Horus Heresy trailer, for instance, like the giant orc kind of scrap models that are in between the bikes and then the troop units behind. Those are Titans. So those are those massive things that you saw in the Horus Heresy trailer. Those are examples of what the scaling would be for them. So in my opinion, I'm excited for Horus Heresy. It's going to be good, but I think they should have made Horus Heresy as a War Master thing. You would have been able to have these epic fights, and with the scaling of Titanicus, it works perfectly, and it would fit in really well. Who knows, they may eventually do that, but I would love to play some kind of War Master scale fights. But on the left-hand side, you can see the Squats and their units. So you can see they got the bikes and trikes. There's some troops on the far back left-hand side. And then they have some crazy artillery pieces. They have a giant tank with that insane cannon on the front. And they have a war train. So they actually built these trains at the front would be like the locomotive, and it's obviously armed to the teeth, and then behind it each train car is a different weapon, and you could build them with different loadouts. So there's a missile, there's a mortar, there's a cannon, but making that as a model would actually be super interesting, because you could sell the kit as kind of, there's the front piece and then an optional back piece that would be a separate kit where you can build the locomotive how you want. There's also the air blimp, which I think we'll probably see since there's already the Caradron. It's a natural progression that they'll throw that into Warhammer 40,000 as well. They've got some examples of the old banners, which are all super 80s style banners. You can tell how old these models are by these banners. So here we've got some Warhammer community stuff. We've got an old art piece for them. You can see still Squat with a power axe. They're fighting orcs. They've got a bolter. But some of the symbols and stuff are very kind of old world fantasy dwarf-esque, which I find funny. They're definitely not going to be doing this. They're going to be moving away from like symbol for symbol transitions from old Warhammer dwarves to this. There'll be some new symbols, which I'm excited for. And again, over time, they weren't mentioned at all for a very long time. And then there's this bit here where they weren't officially updated for 3rd edition of the game. Epic came to an end, and eventually the great Jarvis Johnson mentioned in passing that the worlds ruled by the Leagues had been attacked by a Tyranid hive fleet. And then nothing is said about them for a long time. So a lot of people assume that the remnants of the squats were essentially eaten by the hive fleets. And again, there's still some scattered squats here and there, but that they've basically been wiped out. So in Battlefleet Gothic, again, I didn't fully beat that game, but apparently there was some hints that there was some mining colonies that the fleets had run into, and there was a ship that was seen. Again, it's funny when you're not playing some games and then it's like, oh, they told you about this in different things. And here they have in Necromunda the models that they brought out from Forge World, where this is what a lot of people were hoping the squats were going to look like. And not that they won't, but the one that they previewed in the armor looks as though that'll kind of be the Space Marine rank and file combat guys. But this armor looks more like what the scouts would be. So who knows, we still might see them. But for now, this is the squat that we've been leaked. I like the look of them. I like the armor, but it's funny where other people have been talking about the full circle that's happened, where this squat kind of looks like a Terran from StarCraft, and the StarCraft Terran is based off of a Space Marine, so it's kind of come back around. But again, I like the gun. I like the model. It's a little bit different, but it's still 40K. I feel as though it's moving into more kind of dark sci-fi types of stuff that we'll see more of this style, because with a lot of the 3D printed ranges now, they're kind of moving into this sci-fi realm that, Games Workshop wants to get in there too. So I think this is their version of that. In terms of, again, with me getting the army, I'm not going to get the leagues. I'm all good. I'm hopeful to see what the stats and the rules of them are, but people were saying that it looks like the army's going to be extremely forgiving, but it will be like powerful and good for beginners, which I kind of like. And the rumor mill is that a lot of the kits are going to be easy to build, so they're going to be really focusing on new players, getting them to get this army. But let me know in the comments, are you excited for the Leagues of Votann? Did you find this helpful, my brief overview? I'll probably be doing a couple other videos on the squats over time, just trying to help people out, learn a little bit more. If you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. It helps me out so much, and I'll see everybody soon.